All right, we're going to do a draft of the new coordinators who will have the biggest impact on their teams this year. And we have a trivia question. And for the first time in a long time, Chris is going to ask it of me.
Oh, it's a tough one here. All right, we're doing the coordinators, right? We got some young ones in the group. We got some older ones as well. But who is the youngest current coordinator in the NFL?
I'm going to throw a dart here. And I think it's going to be close to the bullseye because we had this conversation among the PFT writers. Drew Petzing of the Cardinals had some comments about where he's going to be, and there was a picture of Petzing, and he looks really, really young. So I'm just going to say it's Drew Petzing.
Man, you're so close, right? He does look young, but their defensive coordinator, all right, Nick Rallis is 30 years old. He was 29 when he was hired. He's 30 now. So, wow, what an ascending career there.
How old's Petzing?
He's 36.
Petzing's 36.
So he's mid-30s, yeah. He's all right. But that's I like it was a good guess by you. I'll give you some credit there. But I'll still take the first pick of the draft.
Petzing looks really, really tiny among the players. And then, of course, when you're down there, I remember the first time my son and I were standing on the sidelines at a West Virginia game. My son was at that age where, he's playing football. He's feeling like he's pretty macho, pretty big, biggest guy on the team. And he's standing there looking up at those guys. It's like, yeah, you ain't as big as you think you are. But Petzing is like this little toadstool among the oak trees in the picture we saw, and that's what made me think that maybe he's really, really young, not as young as I thought. All right, you get the first pick.
All right, I'm going to go there. I mean, that he was on the top of my list, and I'm going with Vic Fangio. It's the best roster maybe in football. I mean, it's definitely, for my money, top three. You want to put the 49ers, the Dolphins, and the Eagles in that conversation. That defense has got studs everywhere. We discussed this the other day a little bit. They got big bodies up front. They got an unbelievable pass rushing duo. They got an unreal secondary. There is no effing way they should have been the 18th ranked defense last year in football. I mean, that's why they made the change, because they went back and went, damn, we got like big-time players everywhere, and we're the 18th ranked defense. So Vic Fangio, you couple with that offense that's got the potential to be the number one offense in football, they could have, top three offense, top three defense in football when this year's over.
Without question. And they don't have Jalen Ramsey for a while, but it really doesn't matter. They've got plenty of guys up front that can make a difference, and Fangio's a guy that can draw it up creatively, and the Dolphins, really, they may be the best team on paper in the division. They may have jumped the Bills.
I agree.
I think
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt.
It's just a matter of keeping that key guys healthy.
Exactly right.
Keep the key guys healthy, and the Dolphins should win the division.
I think if we went position for position with the Bills and the Dolphins, other than quarterback, I don't know. What other position? Tight end, maybe? I mean, after that, you get into it and you go, it's going to be a Dolphin landslide from there on out. So that's where it's, your point's definitely spot on.
I'm going to go with a guy that we talked about yesterday, a guy that was a major topic conversation a couple of weeks ago because of the clumsy comments made by his head coach, who later tried to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and that's Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator in Washington. He's so potentially impactful that I really do think at some level Ron Rivera has to be thinking he could be good enough this year that we could face losing him, and in lieu of losing him, they might push me out and make him the head coach. The Lovie Smith, Dirk Cutter effect from 2016 in Tampa Bay. At some level, and in some way the dominoes fall, that's the way that it plays out. Offense is a lot better. They don't want to lose him. Early stages of this relationship with Sam Howell, oh my God, somebody else is going to hire him? No, we can't have that happen. Let's just make him the head coach. No loyalty, no attachment, no history with Ron Rivera. Be very easy for Josh Harris to make that mental gymnastics routine and say, I'm keeping Bieniemy, even if it means I have to part ways with Rivera. That's how impactful Bieniemy could be.
We've seen it happen before. We have. And, like we talked about yesterday, we already have seen the impact. We haven't seen Washington's offense look like that in a preseason game, or I don't know really much of any time. the way it did the other night. And that was a new quarterback who's inexperienced. So, yeah, we're seeing the effects there. I like that pick. He was on my list as well, of course. The next one, I'm going to go with Todd Monken, the team they played on Monday Night Football. But, it's Lamar Jackson. It's the first time in his career we can legitimately sit there and go, got some weapons at his disposal this year. There's some people he can throw to, right? And the offense itself, what's it going to look like? How much more passing is it going to be? They're the Ravens. They're not going to give up on the run game. That's not going to happen. And Todd Monken, he was the O coordinator at Georgia. They kind of had good running backs and ran the ball pretty damn good, right? But what does he bring to it? How much creativity does he bring to the table? We've said in the years past where it's like if the Ravens can't kind of control the line of scrimmage and run the ball, the offensive pass game was not good enough to stand alone and carry the football team. I'm hoping that's going to be different. I think that's going to be different. So let's see what Todd Monken brings to the table.
And look, I hate to be this way, but I keep going back to this idea that the Ravens have gone out and hired themselves a Bill Walsh.
I hear you. It's a little
He's not all that accomplished.
Yeah.
He's been out of the NFL for 3 years, and yeah, he was in Georgia, but come on, at college level, it's more about having superior talent, not superior schemes. They don't game plan. They don't adjust the way they do at the NFL level. I do give him credit, though, for getting Lamar Jackson involved in the construction of the offense and the design of plays. It's alarming to me that Greg Roman, the former offensive coordinator of the Ravens, wasn't tapping into his starting quarterback like we see other great quarterbacks relied upon to help with the overall structure of the attack. So this is good. You get buy-in. You get the players feeling ownership of the process. That's smart.
Yeah,
by Todd Monken.
Definitely.
But let's see how it all works. Let's see how it all comes together. He's going to be the guy at the center of that storm, and there's a lot of pressure on him to make the Ravens into a high-end contender. I'm going to go with Kellen Moore, the Chargers offensive coordinator. And look, I don't know how good he's going to be, but he's definitely going to have an impact. He's either going to be good enough that it's all going to work finally for the Chargers, and they're going to fulfill their full potential with one of the great quarterbacks in the game, or it's all going to fall apart, and everybody's getting fired, and there'll be a new coaching staff next year. Once you give that huge contract to the quarterback, if the quarterback doesn't deliver, the quarterback's not the one who's getting shipped out. It's not going to happen in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson if it doesn't work this year. It's not going to happen in L.A. if it doesn't work with Justin Herbert. They'll get somebody else to coach the guy in whom they've made the massive investment. So the pressure's on Moore. It's going to go one way or the other. And if it goes one way, great. If it goes the other way, they're going to clean out everybody, and they're going to start over again.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. That's definitely one to watch. And we've said the offense, the system they ran the last few years, it failed Justin Herbert. It failed the Chargers. It's like having the fastest receiver in football and going, we're only going to throw screen passes to you or short throws. Like, you're like, what? You're never going to throw the ball deep? They had Justin Herbert, who I think has some of the farthest throws in football over the last few years, the hardest throws mile per hour wide, and they were trying to throw 4 and 3 yard throws all the time. They got weapons there. They got an O-line for real now. There's no excuse. You're right. The pressure's on there. The whole coaching staff, but yeah, people are going to be looking at Kellen Moore. All right, well, I mean, damn, I left this on the table for you. I mean, I just kept leaving it there, and you're not going to take it, so I'll take it. I'm going to go with Brian Flores. I mean, first off, it can't get any worse. I mean, it could have got a little worse, but it was pretty damn bad. We know that. The Minnesota Vikings defense stunk last year. I mean, stunk to the point we joked about it, right? Teams would play them, and the Vikings would be playing pass defense, and they'd go, we're still going to pass it. They're so bad, they think we're going to pass it, and we are going to pass it, and there's nothing they can do. You guys would play 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, and they'd go, we can still run it on them. We'll just do it. I mean, so Brian Flores is going to bring an attitude and a different creative element and attention to detail that just was not there, and a toughness and a physicality and an attitude, like I said. So, yeah, Brian Flores is going to have an effect on that side of the ball for your Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I was hoping I would slip it through to round 3. There are so many coordinators who are going to have an impact this year. I'm going to take the guy who I thought you were going to take in round 3, but let me say this about Flores.
Yeah.
You're right. The defense can't be any worse than it was last year. It was horrible. It was abysmal. Now, I don't know about the personnel, but whatever the personnel is, Flores is going to get the most out of it. And they're not going to have a scheme that is going to get figured out and exposed. It's going to be week to week, game to game. What do we need to do? But the challenge is going to be coaching the guys up week in and week out so they can do whatever is expected of them that week. It can be overwhelming physically, and it can be overwhelming mentally when your job dramatically changes one week to the next. Oh, this week I'm rushing the passer. Oh, this week I'm dropping into coverage. Oh, wait, this week this is what we're doing. Oh, this week this is what we're doing. Oh, wait a minute, we got to do this. Well, what about this? And we're changing this and we're changing that. It can be mentally stimulating. It can also be exhausting.
Yeah, it can be. And I think that Flores, between Belichick, having his own spin on things in Miami and figuring some things out there, I think he's grown in this department, too, and I'm kind of excited to see him almost just be the man on defense again and see what he brings to the table. You said it right. The talent's not great. So I'm not expecting top 10 defense, but certainly expecting, a 10-position jump from the 31st defense in football. I'd be disappointed if they weren't like a top 20 defense in football just because I have that much respect for Brian Flores. I don't think the talent really is a top 20 talent, but I respect him like that.
And think about last year, that 1-year master class with Mike Tomlin.
Yes, another.
See how he deals with players, how he gets more out of players, how he takes a collection of guys where you would say it's going to be a long day, and the next thing you know, they're getting it done.
Yeah.
Because Mike Tomlin knows how to press the buttons and get the most out of each individual player. And I'm sure Flores was soaking up everything he could from Mike Tomlin. Who wouldn't? And that makes him even better now that he's in charge of the defense in Minnesota. All right. Look, I thought about saying Mike McCarthy, even though he's not the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. He is, as a practical matter. He's calling the plays.
Yeah.
And his future in Dallas may hinge on his ability to run that offense now that Kellen Moore has been run off. But I'm going to go with Bill O'Brien. There's been so much talk about how bad that offense was last year. So, again, it's like the Vikings defense. It can't get any worse. The structure of the offense, the crayons and safety scissors and Elmer's glue offense, it's next level now. It's rocket science with Bill O'Brien. And it's almost like the Eric Bieniemy situation where if it goes really well, Bill O'Brien isn't going to be there in 2024. They're going to be back to where they were without Bill O'Brien. They better have a damn good plan in the event that this works and he turns around Mac Jones. And I've said this a time or two. And I don't think it takes a genius to figure this out, which qualifies me to make this statement. If the Browns don't get what they need to out of Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien's going to be the head coach of that team in 2024. It's too obvious of a dot to connect. So, hey, Patriots, hey, good luck this year with Bill O'Brien, but Bill O'Brien was only back for 1 year. He's a head coach again in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and I did think it's totally fair. Yeah, if things fall apart in Cleveland, why would you not be looking at Billy O'Brien? It's interesting altogether, the New England coaching situation. I mean, I don't think Bill Belichick's going much longer anyways. So, that's another reason guys like Billy O'Brien have a good year. They might want to get out of town. What is it gonna be there? I think in my heart of hearts and from people I know around football and all that too, I mean, we're coming down the home stretch here. Last year, maybe 2 more years for Bill Belichick, but I don't imagine it being much more than that.
Do you think he cares about catching Don Shula?
Yes, like to a degree, but I don't know if he'll like stay in it for another year. I think he'd like to do it, but I don't think it's going to be one of those things where he's like, I was going to retire, but damn, I didn't catch him. I'll do it 1 more year. I don't think it's that crucial to him. I think he'll be just like, hey, Don Shula, the Dolphins, here's my, 6 Super Bowl rings, and I caught you in that department, and he can always sit back and enjoy that.
Will pride cause him to walk away before Robert Kraft would make him run?
That's a good question too. I I just feel like with those two guys, they're both, in my experience, very upfront. That nothing would be taught, that they would discuss this. This would be, where are you at? Where are you at? And I just feel like it will come to a amicable, is that the right way to say that? Split at the end?
Very well done.
Thank you very much. I'm learning from you day by day here. But I don't think it'll be like, oh, you're going to fire me, then I'm just going to quit. I think it'll be something that's talked about, and there'll be a feel for, hey, this is coming to an end.
There will not be a cocktail napkin on which Bill Belichick writes, "I resign as HC of the NBC."
All-timer.
and we got to take a break, but there's a thought process out there that Gerard Mayo, it's just a matter of time before he's the next coach. But
Yep.
I do know some folks who are fascinated by the possibility of Mike Vrabel being the next coach of the Patriots, that they would work out a way. I don't think the Titans are giving him up. I think it's going to take more than a few draft picks to get Mike Vrabel away from the Tennessee Titans, but that's a name that I've heard just as kind of like,
yeah, he's New England type
it
of guy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But a lot of it depends upon, he's tight with Bill Belichick too. A lot of it depends upon how amicable that split ultimately is and whether or not Mike Vrabel would have Bill Belichick's blessing to come in and take over. Vrabel may not want that. He may want to make his own legend in Tennessee instead of trying to follow Bill Belichick in New England. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.